Ibra di testa, Tonali, gol! Sandro! Meritato! Sandro! Gol!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud and a breathing Madison. Great time to take in a big deep breath there, Maddie.
I was trying to hide my yawn.
Yeah, you'll
nice.
get yelled at for yawning, but what's up, guys? Glad to be back. Except my fucking back hurts and I can't get situated in this chair all of a sudden. I think it's just getting worn out. Time for a new one. But yeah, I got back problems, and Madison does too because he's older than me.
My back doesn't hurt though. But I'm tired.
Must hurt your back a bit being taller than him as well.
Gravity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, boys, we've got a very busy episode coming up. We've got 4 games to talk about, and of course, the Champions League draw, which happened earlier today. And I'm sure that that's what everyone's kind of tuning in to hear about and stuff. But yeah, we've got a couple of games to recap, namely the ones against Salzburg and Spezia, the double S. And then we've got 2 to preview, which will come before the end of this week, and then we have many weeks off because of the break for the World Cup. So the action's been coming thick and fast, and then it's just going to slam to a halt. So that'll be an interesting period for all of us to try and work out what to do with our lives when England and the USA finish bottom 2 of our group.
I was going to say, we can't both be bottom.
We can be joint bottom on 0 points. So yeah, we'll dive straight in with the first game that we've got to recap. And that is the do-or-die Champions League game against Salzburg. So we came into this match at San Siro knowing that just a point, or of course a win, would see us into the last 16 of the Champions League for the first time since the 2013-14 season. As said, a draw would have been good enough against a dangerous team that have caused some problems for us and also for Chelsea in this group so far. They reached the knockout stages last season. It was not a dangerous game as it turned out on the night as we blitzed them 4-0. You know what? Going into halftime 1-0 up, perhaps everything was still a little bit up in the air. But once again, just like that game against Dinamo Zagreb, second half, we absolutely ran riot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't even know where to start with this really, apart from if there was ever a performance where we needed to demonstrate our increase in sort of experience and maturity in Europe, it was a game like this against a team that had to come out and beat us and were going to play very aggressive and intense. And it was pretty near perfect, aside from a little bit in the first half.
I was going to say, the first 15 minutes, I was a little nervous, but then once we started to put them in, they just completely collapsed because they can't, they don't know how to sit back, which I think we talked about last week.
Yeah, we did.
So finished off strong in the final 2 games of the Champions League. It was really exciting. It was great to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we could have taken a lead earlier than what we did. Teo went on that run and hit the post. And, when we eventually did take the lead through that Giroud header from a corner, shock horror, we scored from a corner. After we scored from a set piece against Dinamo as well. So maybe we've turned a corner, if you'll pardon the pun. But yeah, great instinctive header from Giroud. And that put us 1-0 up. And then everything seemed to kind of, if we thought that would settle our nerves, it sort of seemed to turn the game the other way and we didn't know which way to play it. Salzburg had plenty of chances to get back level again. I must admit, a report came out after the game saying that we liked the look of Luka Sucic, who was playing in the midfield. But for me, it was Kjærgaard, the long-haired Danish teenager who looked like the best player. You've no idea who I'm talking about. Is that why you're shaking your head?
No, I know exactly. I don't need any more Kiers.
Okay, yeah, fair. It was.
Why not?
It was
because
it was the job of Kier to guard Kjærgaard.
And there's another Kier in the league, right? It's Damskiers or good Kier or something like that. Kier's good. I don't know. There's so many Kiers all of a sudden, and I don't care about it. So, but anyways, more goals scored than podcast hosts. That's impressive because we seem to have a rotating lineup pretty often.
For the second Champions League group game in a row.
Yeah. And big boy Ollie G just unstoppable these last few weeks, huh?
Yeah.
After we talk shit about him every week.
That's how it goes. And Steph's gonna act like I've just been a hater, but I've been a huge Giroud fan.
Steph doesn't even watch the games, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I've always been hyped on Giroud. It's just he went on a 5-game skid of not scoring anything and making shitty flicks. So I was like, "What's going on, man?" And then he scores. He's like, "Told you." And I'm like, I'm not mad that our team scored.
Isn't it funny that like one of the theories that we put forward is that he had to start like 13 games in a row, which was purely because obviously he was out until next year, and Origi was also battling injury problems. And then when we're finally able to give Giroud a bit of rotation, like we started Origi against Monza and against Torino, and then Giroud has been like influential since he's been able to manage his minutes a little bit better. So it does make me wonder.
Just needed a nap.
Yeah. Old man got a rest.
Give him some hard candies on the sideline.
But I mean, look, he gets the headlines and the plaudits from this game, and rightly so. We might as well just mention it now. 4 goal contributions, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Did he have 2 assists? Oh, he did on the Macias one as well. Wow.
Yeah.
So did he draw the penalty as well? Wait, do we get a penalty in this game?
We didn't have a penalty.
No penalty.
Just 4 open play goals, kind of.
Yeah, there was the header from the corner, and then he set up Krunic with a header back across the area for the second goal. Scored the third goal from close range when there was that ricochet and he just banged it in. That was after Leao went on a mazy run all around the edge of the box and then finally crossed it in. And, he should have had an assist for that, but because it hit a Salzburg player, he didn't get it. And then, showed all of his brilliant hold-up play with that through ball for Macias to get his name on the score sheet at the end. It was like peak Giroud. He's 36. And these last few games, it just seems to have been a second wave of youth for him, He's doing everything that we asked of him, really. Let me, in fact, read some numbers that came from earlier today, which just puts into perspective, in my opinion, how good an investment this is. He's now made 43 starts for us, all competitions. He has 23 goals. He's on 9 this season already. He averages a goal every 158 minutes for us, which works out at 43,500 euros per goal, if that's the way that you want to work it out. It was a Gazetta report, but yeah. His goals last season directly earned us 18 points through winners and equalisers. And he cost us 1 million euros from Chelsea. 1 million plus 1 bonus.
But
1 million
Scudetto. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But that's a great return.
Find a better
I'll take it.
Fantastic return.
Yeah. And he really was the man. I said, Barham, I think there was maybe 3 chances that Salzburg had in the first half. You could see where it was with them. They were always going to be chasing the game. We went 1-0 up and they didn't have the option to sit back. They just had to get more and more up. And in truth, we could have had more goals. Just like the Dinamo game, 5, 6, 7-0 might not have been too beyond the realms of possibility. But, that's the way that those games are going to be. They're going to come up against quality. They didn't take their chances like maybe Torino did in the last league game. And we are through into the last 16. There's not an awful lot else to say, really. I thought that team selection-wise, it proved to be the right move to play Krunic as the number 10, just to give us that bit more extra security. And obviously he got the goal, which is good. Playing Rebic on the right, we've seen it a second time in a row now in the Champions League. And I'm still unsure how I feel about it, really. One thing is for sure, he's certainly a lot more attacking than the other options that we have been fielding on the right. Macias and Salamanca's when he's fit. But with Kalulu being a bit more defensive, it seemed to look okay. We didn't look totally off kill, apart from the couple of chances that Kiergaard generated from the left. So, it was all right. It was good. We're through. 4 goals, another clean sheet, which was big. That ridiculous stat of
Kier. Tata had a really good game. I should point that out specifically because everyone thinks I'm the world's biggest hater. But Tata had a great game. He even made, I think, like 2 or 3 diving saves, which is impressive for a guy that's typically rooted to the spot like a tree. So it was nice to see him move around and not take shots straight at him.
Can you compliment him without insulting him?
No.
Backhanded.
Yeah.
No, he was
did a great job for a man with a bowl cut.
Go drink your pumpkin spice latte.
It is pumpkin, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Season's not over yet, damn it.
So Tata did really well. Kier, we've still only conceded 1 goal this season with him on the field, which is kind of mental because everything in the eye test said that we didn't particularly look that strong with Kier out there on the field. And yet the stat is the stat,
I don't know how indicative that is of Kier.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, it's true, but also, like you just said, the eye test. There's a lot more to the game of football than just stats on a piece of paper.
It could also be the effect that he has on others, though. Like,
he does have great
others...
leadership. I mean, you see him giving instruction every time there's a break in play, so he definitely knows the game, and he obviously has an impact on the game. I'm just saying it. Maybe his skill might not be there anymore, but his mental capacity hasn't dropped. His leadership qualities haven't dropped. Like, those are still there, and that's a big up to the team, and that plays a role for sure.
And it's just good to have 5 fully fit centre backs. We're not that close to an emergency at the moment. With Kabir able to come in, and obviously Chiao, who we haven't seen anything of since the Verona game. But yeah,
he came on this weekend.
Oh yeah, he did for the very. How long again?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
I
will look it up and find out.
It certainly wasn't long though. I had forgotten about that. So yeah, win, clean sheet through. And I suppose that we will talk about the draw that happened today.
He came on in the 90th minute, so yeah.
Yeah, it was right at the death.
Yeah.
So I suppose it counts as another appearance for him, but again, we don't get to see an awful lot of him. So yeah, the draw took place this afternoon. Well, at noon.
We're just skipping tops and flops. I mean,
obviously, we better actually no. Yeah, top Giroud, 4 goal contributions. Can't really argue with that. Flop's a tough one.
I'm gonna go Rebic. I think he kind of probably had the worst game out of everyone. I mean, look, we're not really spoiled for choice. Like, everyone went great. We won 4-0. A flop is a hard thing to pick, but going off of player ratings, Rebic had the lowest. Plus, the guy who came on for him scored a goal. So,
true.
I guess that's it. But really, I mean, we're plucking at straws here.
The delivery man always delivers. So
that's right. I like that. Why have we not said that in the 2 years I've been trying to pretend he's the greatest?
Low hanging fruit.
I'm just not clever.
Pobega came on and kind of, looked
Stank.
a little bit. Yeah, looked a little bit behind the pace of things, but also didn't do enough to say that he made any errors or anything in particular. It is tough, though. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, I'm going to contradict the stat that I just said and give the flop to Kier, just because I think that Ahmed highlighted this, Bader in his video. Our entire period of disorganisation in the first half when Salzburg were getting all the chances was because Kier was behind the play, and Kalulu and Tomori were having to overcompensate, and balls were coming into the box that he couldn't deal with. He couldn't beat Adamu to the ball, and he should have done better on a couple of occasions. He fired that one straight at Tatarusanu that was lucky. If that's a couple of yards either side, it's probably an equaliser. So I'll give it to him, but also I don't think he was awful. I think it was just a bit of rustiness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madison?
I honestly remember the good, not the bad from this game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cop-out if I've ever heard one, but I'll take it.
He didn't watch.
Have a 4-week-old child and see if you remember things from a week ago.
Honestly, this game...
Have a 4-week-old child.
Yeah. This game and the last one, between the 8 goals in the 2 of them, I forgot which game was which, so...
Yeah. So
I don't blame you.
I'll say Pobega because he has the lowest rating on FootMob.
Who does?
Pobega.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Mm-hmm. You have to go by real ratings, not Isaac's.
I did go off FootMob, but I just look at the bench.
Oh.
So I picked Rebic out of the starters.
That's good because CDK was lower than Rebic, so.
Oof. Well, that's also fair. He's had a stinker of a season so far. Anyways, round of 16 draw. We got Spurs. Woo woo.
We did indeed.
Then that was so much more excitement.
More excitement. I thought that was pretty exciting for.
We got Spurs. Woo woo.
I clapped and everything. I don't. Woo.
There are 3 things that I've been waiting for on this podcast since we started. This is the so far third and final. Making the round of 16, making the Champions League, and winning the league. We're crossing the checklist off here, boys.
Madison's retiring. That's what he's telling us right now.
No, we have to win the Champions League first.
So
well, then I'll see you in 2099. We're still recording this.
We'll have dementia and not know where we're at.
Correct. Anyway,
probably
back
make for
on
a better
topic,
podcast,
guys.
actually. Back on topic. So the draw was made this afternoon in Switzerland.
Afternoon. It was 6:00 in the morning for me.
Not everything revolves around you.
But it was 11 a.m. for you.
It was morning for me, yeah. It was afternoon in Lyon, so I'm going with them on this. Look, it's Switzerland. They're neutral. We don't want to piss them off.
They're neutral.
They're not going to do anything. What are they going to do? Freeze Kanye's bank account?
Monday morning it is. We drew Spurs. Of all the teams that were left, I think it would be fair to say it was them and Porto and maybe Benfica, but I think Benfica are just a little bit better than those two, as shown by their performance in the group with PSG and Juve, who are crap, but they topped the group with PSG in it, so they're no mugs. And Inter got Porto, and we got Spurs. And I think the overwhelming reaction has been one of optimism, as in like this was one of the two opponents where, look, we might still not be favourites necessarily, but this one's like more of a coin toss than, say, playing Bayern or playing, obviously, Man City, where we're massively underdogs right from the start. It's another London game, so happy days for me.
Yeah, you look at, Bayern, they consistently are beating someone in the knockout stages 8-2, and they did it against like top teams like Barca, who maybe isn't a top team anymore now that they're in Europa League, but Messi was playing for them then. So, you see Bayern just decimate teams, and the thought of us going against Bayern is disgusting. Like, I don't want to see what happens there. Right. That's a 16-0 game. I'm not interested in that. So this one's
not
nice.
16-0. Come on, 15. Give us more credit.
Regardless, it's a blowout. We're not beating Bayern. I don't think anyone's going to have objections to that statement. Spurs, I think we could beat. And if we go out, I don't think it'll be an embarrassing exit. I think it'll be a good game regardless. The way they're going in the league's a little up and down. They're obviously hovering around that 3rd to 5th place spot, with how tight the Premier League is right now. But Conte knows Italian teams. He knows our team very well. And we have a historically poor record against English sides, so that does play against us. However, I think we're a more organized team at the moment. How that's going to look in 3 months, who knows?
The last time we were successful in the round of 16, we beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay. Which was an English team.
That's
our only win against
the season before that, we actually played Spurs.
It's not because we beat an English team in the championship. So,
what are you talking about?
You said it's our only win versus an English team. I said it's not.
Never mind. I think it is our only win.
We beat Liverpool in the Champions League final.
I think over 2 legs it might be.
I'm talking. Okay.
No, yeah, man. We beat Man United when we lost 3-2 at Old Trafford and then beat them 3-0 at home. That was in the semi-finals, though.
Okay, well, whatever.
The round of 16 in 2010-11 when we went on to win the league.
Someone's stats are wrong. I'm aware it's mine, but I'm making fun of the source, which might have been our account anyway. So let me get to the bottom of this.
Our account, because I wouldn't be tweeting out nonsense like that.
Isaac would.
Coming onto a podcast with a fake stat. Anyway, 2010-11 we played Spurs. In the season that we went on to win the league, and we lost 1-0 to them on aggregate in the round of 16. Peter Crouch scored the winner at San Siro, and then the second leg was a 0-0 draw. Those of you who've been following the club for that long might remember it was when Gattuso decided to grab Joe Jordan by the throat after Flamini had kicked Chorluca's leg into the stand, basically. Kicked off big time there. Obviously, a lot of water's gone under the bridge since then, and it's like 11 years. But there is at least some precedent between the two teams to go on.
There it is right there.
There it is, yeah. Please don't strike us for that. Spurs, as you say, Conte knows as well from his time at Inter, knows Italian football well, has got the better of Pioli in the past. But I think, we're probably a year or two wiser from that point, and players have a bit more experience. And another thing that people aren't thinking about is, like, we're all thinking of facing them as we are now, but you've got to consider that come February, we will have, fingers crossed, 5 players back from injury in Zlatan, Milan, Florenzi, Calabria, Salamanca's. So that just makes us look a bit deeper, although Spurs still have probably a deeper squad. It should be a fascinating tie. We will preview it in more detail, obviously, down the line, because weirdly, we've got like 3 months to wait now before that game comes around. But
did Champions League end earlier than normal because of the World Cup? Did group stage?
No, later.
Oh, group stage did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like it's 3 months is really weird to wait till a knockout round.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
we've been
surprised
waiting
they did
like
the draw
12
now.
years, but
right.
Yeah. As I say, we'll do more in-depth stuff as we get closer to the game. We'll get Spurs guest on and all that kind of stuff. But for the time being, I think everyone's thumbs up with the draw. Other draws of note, there's not much, is there really? I mean, Man City got Leipzig, so their path should continue. Chelsea got Dortmund. I actually think that'll be quite interesting. And
that's a good game. Both Napoli got Eintracht Frankfurt, which is interesting. You know, I'm just looking at it not even objectively, just like surface level opinion. I guess the exact opposite of objective. There's a good chance that the final 8 teams, 3 of them are Italian and 3 of them are English, which is kind of interesting to think. Which means the semifinals is going to have 3 English teams. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. No, but it would be good for the league if that ended up happening. You know,
it'd be great for the league.
And then what if like the Italian teams, 2 of the Italian teams then drew each other? Then we'd be guaranteed one in the semi-final, which would be,
I would love to draw Inter.
And that's kind of my thought process as well. I'm looking at it. So we're guaranteed to have Bruges or Benfica in the quarterfinal. So that's like an easier draw there if we get through. And then you have Inter beating Porto most likely. We've shown that we could beat Inter. We always show up for that game. Napoli beating Eintracht most likely. Even if not, we could beat Eintracht. I think we beat Napoli whenever we play them next, whether it's in the league or
I don't think
we'll
beat Napoli in the Champions League.
I think we will. There's no chance they win the Champions League. I think we can.
No, but there's a chance that they beat us in the Champions League.
Yeah, of course. There's a chance everyone wins, everyone loses. But I'm saying that's a winnable game as well. Then you have Real Madrid and Liverpool. So one of the teams there getting knocked out, either the team with more titles than us or the one that's one away. Then you got PSG, Bayern. Those are 2 heavyweights, and that's potentially another team with 6 Champions Leagues getting knocked out. Like, I think.
Listen,
there's good routes.
Head is like this big right now, and he needs to come down to here.
I'm not saying we're winning the thing. I'm just saying there's a good chance we go through. When we drew the group stage,
we were like, we're topping the group. We got embarrassed by Chelsea 2 games in a row.
I think Spurs will be tough. I think a lot of our fans will make the mistake of writing off Spurs and saying instantly we're better. We're not. I don't think we are.
I'm not writing
necessarily.
them off
I think on any day it'll be a toss-up over 2 legs, and they've got the second leg at home. If that really plays into their hands, I don't know. Like, the pressure is on us to take a lead back to London.
Definitely, and it depends on the injuries. Coming back from World Cup, there's going to be more injuries. There's going to be people returning, obviously. Like, we should have Calabria back, fingers crossed. Zlatan, and it's yet to be seen if we're even going to want to start Zlatan versus Giroud, who's played for both of Spurs' biggest rivals in Chelsea and Arsenal. He loves to score there.
I actually looked up his record versus Spurs. It's not that great. It's like very average.
Oh, well. We also have Origi, who scored the Champions League final winner.
But
he's only scored on him once, but it was the one that sealed the Champions League final. So, I don't know. I mean, there's interesting
Origi also scored like 13 late goals versus Everton and hasn't done shit against us or for us. So
you got 1 goal.
You're right. Got my $20 early.
Not yet.
I'll chop it down to 15.
That might be a good.
That's not bad. I don't know why you've offered that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're guaranteed to earn 20 at this stage.
That's how expensive children are. He just needs $15 right now.
I need a little bit of gas, man. I need to get to work.
He just wants to get out of the house.
Anyway, let's see what happens come February. But it's a decent draw from a spectator's point of view. Should hopefully be able to make that, and let's hope for a better result than against Chelsea, which was a painful one to be at. Let's move on. Spezia. So on Saturday night at San Siro, we played against a Spezia team that had not only not picked up a single point away from home all season, but they hadn't scored a single goal all season. And we had nothing to worry about in terms of what they brought from an attacking point of view, because the guy who scored the winner for them last season at San Siro, Giazzi, after the disallowed Messias goal and all the chaos that came from that, hadn't scored and has not got an assist all season. They started a guy called Daniel Maldini up front, but he hasn't got a Serie A goal yet for them. So, we were obviously going to win and keep a clean sheet, right?
I mean, heck, 3 Milan players scored, so that's all you need to know.
3-0, it was basically 3-0.
Did they show Maldini after he scored?
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
He didn't celebrate. Everyone kind of jumped on him.
Did they show Paolo?
Oh, yeah, he looked up or whatever and did like one of these.
He glanced up to look at the replay of the goal, and then he just had a stone-faced expression.
It was a fantastic goal.
It was a great goal.
It was a lovely goal. Yeah.
I mean,
I knew he was. I just had a feeling that he was going to score, though.
See, I didn't. There was nothing to suggest that he was going to score. He's not done anything.
Besides him playing against Milan,
it was written in the stars.
I don't believe shit like that. I almost think that
you mentioned the curse of the Mapai Stadium every season. What are you talking about? You don't believe in shit like that, Mister. Well, we haven't won on this ground since 1962.
I just read the stats that I'm given, unlike fake ones.
You find the stats.
I don't find the stats. I don't have time for that.
You have a stats guy? Can he give me stats, please?
Yeah, it's called Opta. So anyway, we took the lead in this one. Look, we hammered them with pressure early on, and we really should have been 3 or 4 goals up.
At halftime, it should have been 5-2.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been 5-2, or it could have been 1-1. It was very strange in that sense. They'd showed a little bit of danger going forward, but let's be honest. The XG will have been probably 5-1 in our favour or something like that. But again, wastefulness cost us.
Check.
We took the lead. Eventually through Teo Hernandez's goal, and it was a gorgeous ball over the top, it must be said, from Benacer. It's interesting that it took a real moment of quality like that to unpick them, because all we'd done before that was just run at them and scare them, and that seemed to be working. Teo had caused a couple of problems already, and we had been wasteful. But then, it was a lovely ball over the top. Teo did really well to bring it down onto his chest, and then he stabbed it in. My initial thought was he must be offside because he's in behind. But then 5 minutes later, the goal eventually gets given. This was not a good advert for VAR.
It was awful. I think it just summed up Serie A perfectly, that we have this technology to review goals, and one that should be as empirical as offside, whether either it is or it isn't. And the fact it took him 5 minutes to zoom in with this microscope just to see how close he was, and to ultimately decide, he's on. If you had to zoom in, if it took you that long, you knew he was on before, and you're just looking for a way to call it off. If you can't tell right away,
it happened twice this game, right? VAR taking a super long time.
Yeah, there was for the Tonali goal, they reviewed the foul from Tomori that had happened up the other end of the pitch.
But I didn't think that took that long.
It took longer than it should have done. If it was clear and obvious, then they should be calling it on the second or third take.
I did think it was pretty clearly a foul.
Yeah, it was a foul. Now we've won it. I have no arguments.
No, okay, that's fair. But it was interesting. I've been saying it that Benacer is our most important player, and every time he's not playing, we look like shit. And we saw that again. He obviously had an assist, and then when he came off in the second half, things started falling apart on us. And but it was interesting because leading up to the first goal, every single attack was created through Brahim, who was making good runs, was getting in good areas, but that final pass, as per, is just not getting to a goal-scoring opportunity, or we're just not putting it away. And then it takes Benacer to make one good pass and we get a goal. That's all we needed. It's crazy how that happens every week. But obviously Benacer was on a yellow, and he should have been. His challenge was reckless. There was no need to slide in like that. He definitely slid in late and served a yellow. So no issues with that. I understand Pioli's idea of taking players off every time they're booked at halftime. I get it. But sometimes maybe risk it a little bit, just say, hey, be careful. Don't slide challenge.
Well,
it's not that hard,
We had one player who was a yellow card away from suspension, and he kept him on, and he got the yellow card that saw him suspended, and that's Teo. So, how much of it is how far is he willing to go with it?
Well,
the answer is clearly not that far.
And Giroud got a red card.
Yeah, he didn't know he'd been booked apparently, or he forgot.
Said he forgot.
He said he forgot he'd been booked, which is we'll come on to all of that, but yeah, it was good to see Teo get the goal, and.
I thought the Teo goal was going to be offsides.
Yeah, so did I.
With as long as it was taking, yeah.
Apparently the problem, or what they said on the BT feed just before half-time, was what they heard had happened is that the audio wasn't working between the VAR room and the referee. So the referee is going like this all the time. You just couldn't hear them. And then eventually they managed to get through to tell him that he was way onside, like it was actually quite comfortable. Kivior plays him on. But yeah, until he could hear it, he couldn't carry on playing, which was ridiculous. Like, surely they can just say monitor, and then he goes and looks and sees that he's onside and the goal's given if he can't.
Yeah, or just look up to the window and see everyone's giving thumbs up,
Are they in the stadium or are they at a separate location?
They're a separate location, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But still, there are VAR assistants and stuff, and the fourth official will be in contact. I don't know, what the extent of the problem were, but it just wasn't a good look.
It's a good point for moving towards a semi-automatic onside that we've been seeing in the Champions League, because that's been quick and it's been, pretty obvious what it is. I don't understand the difference in the technology. I know one's automatic, the other one they manually put the lines, but how it determines that, I'm not sure. How it,
I don't know if it's a case of it costs too much to implement, or if it's still UEFA trial phase or what. But I agree that is a much better system of doing things, and I want that to become commonplace from next season, because it shows us as well in a better way, graphically. We can see it so much better than when they draw on the lines and it's that line isn't quite at the end of his foot and stuff,
Yeah, I think there needs to be a room for error with offside. I know that it's the easiest one to say it should be black or white, on or off, but I think there should be a margin that you can consider non-game impacting. If he's completely behind the defender, okay, yeah, he obviously has leg, but those millimeters.
So maybe you make
difference is that making in the game? You
can make the line a yard thick or something. And say,
yeah, no, and I think that if the part of their body that can score a goal is offsides, if their arm is offsides, it shouldn't matter, because you can't score with your arm.
They already do that. Yeah.
Well, what about the theory that came out?
It's different.
Honestly, it feels different every time. Yeah.
There's a theory that came out as well about a better idea being that the entire, the entire body of the attacker has to be past the entire.
I'd say
defender.
2/3 of the body.
No,
but how do you?
You can't.
Yeah, you're opening that up. Then
it has to be either all or nothing.
Yeah, so that's the idea, is that there's no such fine margins. They're either past them or not. In
hockey, with the blue line, doesn't your entire body have to be across it, or your stick can be across it, but you can't?
I don't know hockey.
The puck has to go in first.
I think there should be more subjectivity to offside, like there is in every other rule. I don't think it needs to be so this or that.
You can't do that, because then once you leave it up to that, then the ref can make a decision on if it's a goal or not. And
exactly,
they shouldn't be able to do that, because then they can be like, oh, in this game it was a goal, but this game it's not. You can't do that.
But you have that already. You have that with everything. We've had it.
Yeah, but don't make it more difficult. This is the.
I don't think we're making it more difficult. We could just
if it is or isn't. I think we should stick with that.
I'm just implementing the eye test that we do with stats into these calls. Use common sense. Okay, that had no impact on the game. He's a.
There is no common sense in Italian referees.
There's no common sense in Italy, but it is what it is. Yeah, so here we are.
Spot off on that one, AJ. But anyway, Giroud comes off the bench and does what Giroud does best, and that is scoring important goals to win us important points. It's his first red card in a long time.
Yeah, I think so. His first one with us for sure, right?
Actually, we should talk about the Tonali whip into the top corner that was disallowed. I mean,
I
that
was so sad
shame.
because that was such an incredible goal.
Yeah, it was goal of the month.
It was rightly called off in my opinion.
It was, but I don't know why they didn't call the foul because there was no advantage for Spezia.
I think they might have just missed it.
I honestly didn't make a note of what happened after Tomori went in for that tackle.
Tonali scored like 2 minutes later.
So there was no. If we won the ball back from that tackle, then there was no advantage to be played.
Yeah, so I don't know why they didn't just call it there.
They probably thought.
I think he didn't see it. I think that's the point. He probably thought he got the ball.
Do you know how many times the players fouled on the field that the ref doesn't see?
Pretty often.
And how often they don't go to VAR to check it?
How often does it lead to a goal?
Yeah.
This isn't a rare situation.
Pretty often for us.
I mean,
didn't this happen last year?
Probably, but I don't have any issue with it. Like, if there was a foul in the build-up, there's a foul in the build-up. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Whether they caught it live or not, they were every time a ball goes into the back of the net, they review the entire play from the moment you gain possession to the moment you score. So if there's a foul anywhere in there, whether they saw it live or not, it's a foul.
Yeah. The only thing that I wondered about is if they were going to really, really zoom in to see if Tomori got even the back of his calf on the ball or anything where they could say, well, the referee's seen it and he's given it as a fair goal, so this isn't clear enough. But he didn't. He just fouled him straight up. So no bother about that. I mean, look, would we try and nitpick it if we hadn't gone on and won the game? Maybe. But it doesn't matter because we did end up going on and winning. And Tonali ended up having a hand in the winner anyway.
He did.
Another lovely cross into the far post and Giroud mid-air acrobatic scissor kick. Top man, shirt off, abs in your face. Just
my girlfriend was loving it. She was going crazy. I was like, okay, relax. Like, we get it. But
yeah, she was more hyped than you.
She was significantly more hyped. Like, wow. I was like, okay, yeah, chill.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I know, right? What a finish. Now just a 6-pack.
She's like, wow, he has a full head of hair.
That's fucking brutal. No, she literally said too, like maybe a minute or two after that, like all calm, she's like, I think my celebrity crush is Giroud. I'm like, oh yeah, what made you come to that conclusion right now? Like,
right.
I know you're thinking that about 2 minutes ago too.
Right.
Like, no, it was great to see. But then there was also a funny moment when Leao and Kalulu realised what
that was
done.
so funny.
Oh no. Leao's whispering to Kalulu, he's taking his shirt off and he's on a yellow card, and Giroud's like throwing his hands up as if to say, come on, guys. And unfortunately, it's in the rules. You rip your shirt off, you're going to get a second yellow card.
Yeah.
And now we are missing him for the next game. But, I think
Teo probably did it intentionally.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Yeah, he's a hothead, but also if there's a game to get suspended for and clear your yellow card accumulation, it's Cremonese.
Yeah, let's do tops and flops and then come on to that, shall we?
Okay.
Top, I mean, look, I kind of, that's going to be Giroud for a second straight game. It has to be, doesn't it? He's scoring the goals to win us the points. Like, you cannot argue with his decisiveness at the moment. And just the finish, and it could be another one like where we look back on certain results last season and say, without that, we simply wouldn't have won the league title. And I think if we had have drawn this game with Napoli having beaten Atalanta, and then with the knowledge that Roma and or Lazio would drop points, and then Inter and or Juve would drop points, if we hadn't have taken advantage of this round of fixtures to gain points on some of the teams around us, it would have been a massive psychological blow, because we all expected us just to win out until the World Cup. If we can't beat a team that hasn't got a single point all season away from home, it would have been a difficult conversation to have on this pod.
I don't know if I'm picking Giroud for my top because, yes, he scored the winner, but at the end of the day, he played 18 minutes and got sent off. So, let's not be too reckless here. But I don't know who to pick because the only other option would be Teo, and he also got a suspension. So it's a really tough one.
I think Tonali is pretty good in the second half, but the difficult thing is
I would pick Benacer because of how he played in the first half, but he got taken off. So I don't know.
Yeah,
this one's tough. This is really tough to pick a top, but
Daniel Maldini.
He's the biggest flop of the match. The whole family's playing against us. One won't buy us players yet, and then he sends his son out to do dirty work against us. I don't know. It's a campaign against Milan, and it's led by Maldini's.
Also, Mattia Caldara had a pretty damn good game.
Of course,
he's on loan from us as well.
Although, did you see he fouled? It was Tomori or Leao? He fouled someone, and like he's like, "Oh no, my bad." Like he looked like he genuinely felt bad that he did it because he stepped on him.
All right, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh no!" Like you can tell they're still friends, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, I suppose he did a bit of preseason and stuff.
It's weird to think that Caldara is going to be a center back for us again next season.
To be fair, they have got an option to buy, I believe, but we'll see if they take that up. It'll probably be a low figure. But yeah, flop of the match.
Away for free.
Yeah, get rid of his salary. Flop of the match. Bloody hell, this is a tough one. I don't even know who was really at fault for the goal. I mean, Tatarusanu does kind of stand there and watch it curl in, but also there are bodies between, and he curls it around the outside of the.
So
but he does just stand there.
Here's my expert analysis of that goal. Macias and Krunic were the ones guarding Maldini, which is already like neither of you are defenders, but so it's like where's Kalulu, where's Tomori, where's where the people that are supposed to be defending that side. But Maldini goes right in between both Krunic and Macias with the ball, embarrasses them with that great move, and then he's got a wide open shot, and Tlata just kind of stands there and just goes, "Oh no!" And then he kicks the ball inside the net and screams like all dramatic, like a telenovela.
As if he nearly had it.
Like, I'm like, bro, you didn't even try. Like, that's my issue with them because it's if you just dive and you don't save it, I'm not gonna be mad. It is what it is. Like, at least you made an attempt, but you just watch that and be like, "Oh no." How could this happen?
You never know, like as well. It could take a very slight deflection that takes it closer to you, and if you have dived, then you get it. When all of a sudden you might not. Like if you stand there, you're taking yourself out of the lottery altogether.
I mean, there was no one for it to deflect off of, but I get.
No,
yes,
I
mean, you're backing my point, so I'm with it. But yeah,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So probably,
and he was right on his line. Like I don't think he came off at all, which you'd expect a few feet when it's from an angle. That way you're at least facing the guy with the ball. But one thing in Tata's defense that actually no, this is actually anti-Tata too, but it's also anti-Tomori. After Giroud caught or scored, we had I think 2 minutes left of the game, and they had an attack on us, and Tata gets the ball. And Tomori's literally yelling and he's pointing, saying like, "Get down, go down." And Tata yells something back, and then he just throws it as far as he can for us to attack. And I think Dragowski makes a save, and then they run back and have another shot on us. And I'm like, why would you not just go down? Like, yeah, Tomori's being a bitch for yelling at you, but that is goalkeeping 101 when you got a minute left to defend a lead and they just shot a ball on you. Just lie down.
I honestly get the vibe that Tatarusanu and Tomori like. But I think they're very rarely on the same page. Like that's putting it nicely. Yeah. And it's very rare you see players proper bickering. Kiera's done it to Tatarusanu before. He sort of shouted at him and said, "What are you doing?"
Tatarusanu just wants to play his way and not the way that the defense wants him to play.
And that's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
But I think that's what it is. And maybe he's just not... I don't know. Maybe he plays an older form of football. I don't know what it is, but
NFL.
They're not on the same page, and Mike is, and I think they obviously like that more. Which I can't blame him.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Another couple of flops, I suppose. Origi hasn't really done it since he played well against Monza.
Well, he had the assist on Tonali's goal.
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but
too bad it was called off. Man, I was so
too bad
excited.
It doesn't count.
It was a strange one, that though, wasn't it? Because I don't think the pass was actually laid back to Tonali. I think it was laid back to someone else, and then they kind of got out of the way. Yeah, it could have just been a bad pass. And Brahim also was kind of disappointing.
It kind of looked like Giroud's shot against Red Bull. Do you remember that one, AJ?
Oh no,
the one
I genuinely don't know.
Directly to the side.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, like he tried to shoot it and he just chipped it and just looked like an outswinging cross. Like it was the weirdest shit ever. Yeah.
I saw Tammy Abraham take a shot in the derby yesterday that went out for a throw-in. I was thinking, wow, he's off it this season. It's not going well. But yeah, we got the win. I was just going to mention Brahim Diaz probably was a little bit disappointing as well. Got back the starting playmaker role, and you think against a defense like Spezia, a bad away side like Spezia, you've got to find a way to be decisive, and yet they neutralised him pretty well. It wasn't a great performance from him. And it just leaves us no closer to solving that number 10 issue, really, because I don't know who is number 1 in the hierarchy at the moment. And if you're having important games where you're having to play Krunic, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
I do think we should probably try CDK on tomorrow, I guess, on Tuesday against Cremonese, because if there's ever a game where he might be able to get on the street, it's him.
Yeah.
Or it's that, you know. But
let's move on then to the Cremonese game. So it is our first time. I don't have the stat, you see. This is why I'm underprepared. But it's our first game for a long time against Cremonese. And we take them on away from home at the Stadio Giovanni Zini. They are struggling. They are in the bottom 3. They're the only team in the league that haven't yet won a game. They've drawn 6 and lost 7. So they're on 6 points after 13 games. They're 3 points away from safety. Spezia are the team above them, funnily enough. So we're somehow following
Sounds
up
like
the
a
game.
perfect time for them to get their first win.
It always is.
Yeah,
midweek
I'm
game,
getting Benevento vibes from this.
Yeah,
I'm not. We're gonna win. We win, easy peasy. Origi hat trick.
And AJ is
all of a sudden
that
bet goes to tenner. Maddie's taking a tenner all of a sudden after that hat trick. The cash out's dropping.
I'd probably pay that.
Yeah. So yeah, Cremonese have been no bueno so far this season. They lost their first 4 games of the season. Then they had a couple of decent draws against Sassuolo and Atalanta. So you think, maybe they turned a little bit of a corner. They drew their last game 0-0 against Udinese, but the game before that they lost at home to Sampdoria. And nobody loses to Sampdoria. They're just utter dog shit this season. And yet Cremonese found a way to not do it.
I can't wait for them to beat us later.
That's fine. They can do it. People can flip this. They are on a minus 13 goal difference. They've scored 11 goals in 13 games and they've let in 24, which is the exact same defensive record as Spezia. AJ, you've said you're pretty confident. Maddie, are you confident?
I think we're going to win, but I don't think it's going to be pretty because it never is. With these lower
I'll be curious how we look with Ballatore starting left back, and that'll be interesting.
Yep, it's going to be.
I feel like he's better than last season. He's not as bad as he was.
I agree with that too, and he is willing to get forward, so he plays more like Teo, but
he's still not great.
Worse, obviously, yeah. But I think just the consistency of the style is.
He's
beneficial.
also still very young.
Is he?
25.
I thought so. He's 25.
26, maybe now. Yeah.
Oh, get him out of here! What is he
doing? We've been saying this for God knows how long.
I thought he was 18. I'm getting him and Kalulu mixed up.
Kalulu's 22.
Yeah, but didn't he sign with us as a youth player from a French team?
He was 19. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
20. So yeah, I mean the lineup is because Desti's not going to be part of the squad. The lineup is pretty much forced into being Ballatore. It's going to be Tamari Kier by the sounds of it, and then it'll be Kalulu again at right back. Midfield, we don't really know just yet. I'd like to see Tonali Benacer play from the start, and let's get the job done within the first 60 minutes before we think about being smart and subbing one of them off. Then it's either Brahim or CDK for the attacking midfielder role. Probably go back to being Macias on the right, Leao on the left, and either Rebic or Origi up front. Who would you go with, Rebic or Origi?
Origi.
Me too.
Origi.
Me too. And even though I like Rebic playing as a striker, you've got a natural striker ready to play. And also we might need Rebic for the left wing if we can rest Leao for a little bit before that last game.
If we could take a decent lead by the hour mark, then let Leao rest for the weekend.
Yeah. Players that Cremonese have that you might have heard of and therefore are candidates to score against us. Swaliho Mete plays for them. So you've got to get him on a bet to score. Another one, Frank Sadjout is actually.
Oh, shoot!
Yep, he is there now. He signed for them, formerly of our academy. That
he was a big name coming out of our academy.
He was, and just unfortunately never really hit the heights. How obvious, how repetitive is that story?
Right.
Ionit Radu is there. the man who we owe the Scudetto to. So, buy him a couple of beers if you see him. That Felix Afena-Gyan is there, who had that like weird mini breakout at Roma, and then they've just sold him. So that's that. And yeah, that's it really. I'm going to open up with a prediction of a 3-1 victory.
I like it. I'm going to go 4-0. Origi hat-trick, and CDK gets on the score sheet with a late tap-in.
And Maddie's cat?
He predicts a 3-0 win.
Excellent. Well, Black Cat, good luck. No, it's bad luck, isn't it, I think?
It's bad luck.
Very bad luck.
Shit. Well, we've lost then. And then we will move on to the final game that we have to preview before the World Cup break, and it comes against Fiorentina, obviously coached by Vincenzo Italiano. Everybody kind of was a bit bold on them, I think, going into this season, thinking that they'd certainly be in the top half, and they might actually be able to challenge for the Europa League, if not the Conference League spots, because they've got a talented squad. Thought they've used the Vlahovic money quite well to flesh out their attacking department, really. They signed Mandragora from Juventus, Jovic from Real Madrid on a loan, and they signed a decent left-back Dodo from Shakhtar Donetsk. They signed Barak on loan from Verona as well, but obviously they lost some players, and they are currently in mid-table. It's not really been anything to shout about from them. In fact, they've only won 4 games so far this season, but they have won their last 2 against Spezia and Sampdoria. They're currently sat in 11th place, 4 wins, 4 draws, 5 defeats, 15 goals for, 17 goals against. Obviously, we beat Fiorentina towards the back end of last season at San Siro. It was a massive win to take a big step towards the Scudetto with that Rafael Leao goal. And it's got to be another 3 points, really, hasn't it? I never fear playing Fiorentina at home, and maybe I should, but it just feels like we've got the rub of the green on them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, their only win against us in recent memory was when they had Vlahovic, so I'm not too concerned. Yeah. I do rate Jovic. I think he's a good striker, but the time at Madrid has not been kind to him, so he's got to find form, and I don't think he really has. I know he has scored a few times, but off the top of my head, I don't know how many. It's nothing crazy high, It's 3, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 5 in all comps. I really don't know. It can't be that high. But Teo's going to be back after a rest.
Jovic's goals for Fiorentina?
Yes.
2.
Okay, there you go. Teo's going to be back after resting this game against Cremonese, which is actually pretty huge, I think. The same with Giroud. He's going to be back after a suspension, and I think they both probably get on the score sheet yet again. I wouldn't be shocked. So I'm going to go 2-0 on this one.
Say 2-1.
2-0 and Leao to score. This game was the one that this fixture, should say, was like one of the worst. It was the game that got Gianpaolo fired in 2019-20. That one when we were 3-0 down, and then Leao scored the consolation when he went on.
And it was a wicked goal.
It was such a good goal. And I'm going to say that he's going to score a similar goal to that. That's my bold prediction. Ribéry was the one who tore us a new ass that day. He was very good. Yeah. So let's quickly do a couple of questions and then we will wrap up. I actually just wanted to say something under talking points, but you don't have to put it up. The Primavera smashed it in the Youth League. I know AJ doesn't care about kids' football, but you can shut up for a minute because got to give Abate's lot credit. We were in a group with Chelsea, who were obviously a talent factory. They've produced some fantastic players, even if most of them do end up rotting or being sold on for money. Salzburg, who were last year's finalists, and again, obviously, their academy is ridiculous, some of the players that have come through there. And then Dinamo Zagreb, who kind of ended up being the whipping boys of the group. But yeah, we won 4 and drew 2. We didn't lose a single game. Sealed progression, basically thanks to our last 3 games where we beat Chelsea 3-1 at home. We won 2-1 away at Dinamo, and then ended with a 3-1 win at home to it might have been a 2-1 win at home to Salzburg, sorry. But yeah, certain players stood out. Like Lazatic looked really good. Shaka is in
this weekend.
He did, yeah, in the league. Rumours that he might be on the bench actually for the Cremonese game because Giroud's injured. So if we're out of sight in that one, then
not injured, he's just suspended.
suspended. If we're out of sight in that one, wouldn't mind seeing 10 minutes of Lazatic. And then, Shaka Traore is currently injured, but he's looked really good. Gabriele Alessi, Kubis has looked pretty solid. There's plenty of names to go through, but maybe they're on the up, those boys, after a pretty difficult season. A couple of questions then for us to talk through. With Dest being unfit and Teo being suspended for tomorrow's game, could we see a debut for Andrea Kubis? That's from Berezi the Goat. The reason I asked that is obviously leading on from the Primavera question. No.
I don't even know if he's a left back or a right back.
He's a right back / centre back.
Okay.
So I don't know if it'd be like a three-man defense.
So what, are we going to throw Kolulu left back? That worries me. I think we did it last season, and he didn't look very good there.
Yeah.
So I think just Ballatore and Kolulu, and maybe Kubis is on the bench, but I don't think he plays.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 4 inches, Jimmy. I'm not going to ask how he got that name. What would be a better option for Milan? Use the 20 million to buy Brahim Diaz from Real Madrid. I think it's actually 22 million, but yeah. Or use it to pay off Leao's debt to Sporting.
Honestly, probably the debt to Sporting, but
pay off the debt.
I mean, Lille owe half of it, so let's say that 10 mil of it goes towards that, and then we've got another 10 mil to spend. Yeah.
So my thing with Brahim is, if Madrid wants him back, then we got to activate that clause, because then they're going to activate their buyback, and now we get 4 mil or 5 mil. Yeah. So I mean, we got to no money actually exchanges hands in that, except for the money we receive, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. So that's super simple.
The rumor is that also Real Madrid actually have 2 summer windows to exercise the buyback. So if we bought him permanently and then he had a really good first season as a permanent Milan player, they could still just buy him back for 5 million more. So I'm a little bit worried about that. If that's true. But then there are plenty of sources in Spain that are saying there is no option to buy, and it wasn't mentioned in the official statement from either team. So it might just be a gentleman's agreement to talk about it, and those are the figures that were kind of locked into the gentleman's agreement. But I'm sure it'll become more apparent towards the end of the season, because we'll know by then whether we want to keep him or not. It's not going to be like, 22 million, I'm not bothered, because it's 22 million. It's money that we could use to spend on a player. Christian Espinosa, if Paqueta was still on the team, would he be the second best attacking player in the team?
No, he'd be the first.
That's a sickener for Leao.
Yeah, you really hated him when he was here, and you wanted him off the team.
I bought his jersey the day we signed him. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and what about the day he left? You were thrilled.
You actually burnt it, I believe.
No, it's still in there. I actually still wear it every now and then.
I feel like I was the only one in the group who was anti-selling him.
Brother, you got me mistaken. Maybe you're thinking of someone else, but I've always been a Paqueta fan. I was sad that he left. I thought it was a stupid move that he left. We sold him so quick, and it was after Gianpaolo got a little racist saying he was too Brazilian.
Do you know who you remind me of sometimes?
Probably no one good.
Steph. Because in public, you say one thing, and in private, you say another.
No, I am going to wade in and say that AJ, from what I remember, was definitely not in favour of selling him. Yeah, I do remember having many debates with him about that. Because I thought that we should sell him if we got 20 mil or more, and we did end up getting 20 mil for him. We look, it's like alternate universe thing. Like, if he was still here, would he be the perfect number 10? Would we have instead used that 35 million for De Ketelaere to go get Botman? And would we have not let in any goals? And, like everything, like butterfly effect.
Would he have developed as well?
Yeah. From what we know, he didn't enjoy his time here. He didn't really make many friends. He didn't settle into the city that well.
But that was a different squad. I mean, we had Hakan, who was, a tumor in the squad. We had Piontek, who's talking about, I'm going to leave this club for double what you bought me for. Like, it was not a good core of guys. And we had Gianpaolo as well saying his things. Like, it was not a good team. Anyone who has bad things to say about the team from that era, I don't blame them. I think even Baca was mistreated, and he still to this day is our highest single season goal scorer since Zlatan's first stint. Like, it's
one thing I will
not
say,
on the same team as Baca though.
Yeah, he was.
Paqueta?
I think briefly. I think very briefly. Yeah.
Carlos Bacca, you mean, or Bakayoko?
Carlos Bacca.
No, Bacca left summer 2018.
Yeah.
And he came in winter.
Oh, he came winter of technically 19, yeah. But it was that same season, yeah.
But it's interesting because Gattuso kind of had that midfield three going where it was Bakayoko and Kessie as the destroyers, and then Paqueta was the creative one. He sometimes played him as a winger, but he never looked as good there.
And that always frustrated me too. We signed so many attacking mids as wingers. It makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That'll be Charles next. He'll be playing out on the right. He's got 2 assists in 7 games for West Ham and no goals. And West Ham bought him from Lyon this summer for £50 million. So that's 60 million euros. I don't think he's a 60 million euro player. I think he probably benefited from Lyon's midfield a bit.
I think that's also Premier League money. It's not indicative of true value. And also he's at West Ham, so I don't expect a whole lot there. But I think Paqueta is a great player, probably has a strong future. Who knows how it's going to go. Do I think he's going to hit Ronaldo numbers ever? Probably not, but whatever. I think he's a good player, and I thought his time here was really unfortunate with everything that went on. He got to play with Zlatan briefly before the pandemic broke out. I wish we could have seen him that full next season.
Do you know what I often forget? There was a very brief overlap between Zlatan and Piontek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that 1 month leading up to January where they played together and then Piontek got sold. And Piontek basically said that's the reason he left. So good to see his career's flourished since he left us.
Yeah,
back at Salernitana.
Flourished in a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The last question that I will mention is from Rohit. What do you think about Milan's changing approach between Spezia and Salzburg and Spezia? Is the Champions League a real distraction for our ambitions in the league? What about, right, so let's say we beat Spurs, which we're all saying we can do if we play well enough, and probably they have a bit.
You can beat anyone if you play well enough, to be fair.
See, I don't know, man. Like, I think we could play at our very best and City still beat us. Like, let's be honest.
It depends on when you play them. You play City in a final, there's a good chance Pep overthinks it.
Gundogan is a false
There's a good chance Pep overthinks every final.
He does. He literally does. It's their year, though, this year.
I do think if we play at our better than our absolute best, we reach a Super Saiyan transcendent level of ability, we're getting smoked by Bayern. Like, we're just not beating them still.
Yeah.
As for the Champions League being a distraction for us, that's what I was going to say. Let's say we beat Spurs and all of a sudden we're in the quarterfinals, and those quarterfinal games are surrounded by some difficult league games that we really need to win to stay in the title fight. Maybe then, because we said about not being in the Europa League last season and finishing bottom of the group was good because we just had to focus on the league. And like we did, we got smoked by Inter in the semi-final second leg of the cup. And like that, we just focused on the league and that was it. And we ended up winning. But yeah, like how deep do we really want to go? As far as we can, get the money?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're
a Champions League team. It's in our DNA. You think we're going to go easy in it?
Yeah, I think if you make it to the knockouts, you go as far as you can regardless. I don't think we're at a point in our team's tenure, I guess, where you could take games easy, where you can say things are distraction. The goal every season should be to win every trophy that you're in the competition for. So that means we should be.
What about if we're in Europa League?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. I don't think you should want to fall out of any competition. I mean, I understand why teams say that and why it's beneficial, but I also think if we want to be one of the top clubs in the discussion with Real Madrid, with Bayern, with Manchester City, then we got to be competing at our best level in every competition regardless. So it may be a distraction, but it's a good one. And we're going to grow from it. And we're going to be better because of it.
Also, as it stands, if we were to not win the league, we would be in pot four for the Champions League draw next season. So it would be back to being a difficult draw,
Then just more experience for us next season against bigger teams.
And we'll have better players. Like, we're going to reinvest.
Yeah.
I'm confident. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Been a great action-packed episode. Thank you. If you made it this far, drop us a like and comment below with your thoughts on the draw. Also, let us know out of the other games in the round of 16 draw who you think will end up going through. We put a tweet out and got some interesting responses. There's a few ties that I guess are quite up in the air. But yeah, thank you for listening. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ.
Yep, Torger45. Give me Give me a shout.
Maddie.
Edward__Tove.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll catch you in a week's time.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà